Hello and welcome to the podcast. It's been a while since we had a hardcore business and sales episode, so let's just head straight into it. Now, today, what I want us to look at, excuse me, what I want us to look at today is what to do when you're talking to someone, you're trying to close the deal, you're trying to move an agenda forward, you're trying to build a relationship, you're trying to pursue one or two things in business, and then the person says, "Let me run it by my boss." What do you do in that kind of situation? This is something that I actually wanted us to talk about since the 3rd of March, but you know how it is now. Things happen and I just kind of forgot. So I saw my notes today. Oh, by the way, apologies. Making today's recording out and about in a parking lot. And so I expect to hear some noise in the background. In fact, somebody is sweeping right next to me. So hold on, let me just wind up the windows. Okay, sorry about that. Like I said, I'm out and about. I'm in the parking lot, and one of the cleaners was cleaning on the left side of the car. So I said, let me just wind up that window so she doesn't become too much of a distraction. But anyway, like I said, I'm out and about, so you're going to hear people talking, cars driving by, that sort of thing. Oh, and then there's a crash nearby, just in case you happen to hear kids running about. Okay, so like I said, what we're talking about today is what to do when you're trying to close a deal. You're talking to somebody, you're toasting the person, you think you're making progress, everything is going smooth, everything is going okay. Conversation, they appear soft, everything is, you're making progress, you're getting close to the time when you now want to tell the person that, oh yeah, transfer 2.5M into my account, let's get this thing going. And then the guy or the woman will look at you and say, oh, this sounds fantastic. Let me run it by my boss. Let me talk to my oga. Or, oh, thank you, let me show my oga. Now, for those of you who have been in that situation, I do not need to tell you that, this is this kind of brake lights that comes from nowhere. Because you actually thought you were making progress. Then they say, let me talk to my oga. There's a way that thing there's a way it put a damper, it put a slow down, you slow down the tempo, that kind of thing. And of course, that's not what we're looking for when we're talking to somebody. And we're hoping that, at least by Wednesday next week, they will transfer us 2.5, into their account so that we can pay one or two bills, get some things going. So today we're going to look at what kind of statement is this. When somebody says, let me run it by my boss, what kind of statement is this? Then what are the kind of things that lead to this situation where you're talking to somebody and you think everything is cool and you think everything is going on okay? Then from nowhere, the person will now say, let me tell my oga. How can we prevent this kind of situation that we're talking to somebody, we are thinking that the next thing is that they should transfer us deposit, and they will say, let me talk to madam. Then, if you are in that situation where somebody says, let me run to my boss, let me talk to my oga, let me talk to my madam, say, wait, chairman, no day. I suppose tell chairman first. When you're in that kind of situation now, how do you deal with it? Now, first off, this kind of thing, this is what we call an objection in sales. An objection just means that you're trying to pursue an agenda. You're trying to close a deal. There's something that you're trying to work towards. And somebody is talking with you. The person, they follow you, yarn. You guys are, they communicate. Then all of a sudden, from nowhere, the person starts saying one or two things, as if this thing, they go forward again, So you guys are already used to the most common objections, which are money objections. You're too expensive. You're too cheap. Yes, by the way, I've heard that one before. You actually can lose a deal because you are too cheap. Anyway, it will happen to some of you, then you understand what I'm talking about. I have been in that situation where I called with the person later on, and luckily I built good rapport. I was like, Rabbi, how far now? You guys want me to pay school fees? She laughed, and then she said, well, the committee sat, we looked at the tenders, and by the time we're done, we could tell that you are not going to execute this thing by yourself. I said, yes, that I was worried about costs. So because of that, I decided to outsource to some boys who are local, who will come and do the thing in Kano. Then I'll stay here in Abuja, and then I'll be running it from here. And then Rabbi goes, not her real name, by the way. Rabbi goes on to tell me that that's precisely the reason why you lost the deal. That you actually were the cheapest, but then we knew that you were not going to be on site to pull this thing through. I was shocked. I said, so money was not an issue. She said, no, that money is always an issue now. That if they can get a good service for a low price, no problem. But honestly speaking, my bid was the cheapest, and because of that, they knew that, quality no go follow the whole thing. You understand? So you actually can. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, using my own life experience. This one no be theory. I'm telling you, practice. You can lose a deal because you're the cheapest. Although most of us are used to losing business or having issues because somebody says we're too expensive. So those are objections. You're too cheap or you're too expensive. Or, what else? Anyway, that's the most common one, money. But that is not the only thing that somebody can say that can throw a K leg, throw a question mark, throw a comma into this conversation, into this setup, into this relationship that we're having. One of those things is, let me tell my Oga, let me tell my boss, they come, chairman is coming back on Friday. Oh, madam has traveled. When madam come back, all those kind of things, all those, that is also an objection. We thought we were making progress. We thought the proposal is cool. We thought the next stage is transfer money. Out of nowhere, you now say, Oga is coming back on Friday. Let me talk to Oga first. So, any question mark, any K leg, any unforeseen detour in the conversation, that is what we call an objection in sales. Now, some people don't like objection. See, first of all, nobody likes objections. If I'm talking to somebody and I'm thinking correct, making progress, correct, okay, by next week, they'll transfer 20 million. If I'm talking to somebody and in my head I'm saying 20 million, 20 million, 20 million, and then something comes up and then we have to match break, believe me, I'm not happy either. So nobody's happy when you get objections. But what you have to understand is that objections are a normal state of life, normal. Because sometimes, well, people object for a number of reasons. But sometimes the reason why people object is because they have legitimate concerns that need to be addressed. They have legitimate questions that they need answers. They have things that they're trying to understand that they don't quite understand yet. So they're just trying to slow it down, let them catch their breath, let them understand. Before they transfer 20 million to you and then, something happens next week and you're nowhere to be found, or you say it's not covered in the terms of reference. You get. And then sometimes it's just a shrug off. They're just trying to get you off. So people object for different reasons. It's a normal part of life. So don't be angry anymore. If you're new in business, yes, the first couple of objections you will get will annoy you, especially the money objections. You're too expensive, you're too expensive, you're too expensive. You will now be angry. And people are pricing you like groundnut. Then you now be angry at the competition. That how dare they? Why are they pricing their things so cheap that they give people a bad time? So when they're down is normal. But after a while, you just need to own up to the fact that objections will always happen. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, eh? But then honestly speaking, this is the truth. If somebody they give you objection, at least when I see the yarn, at least you're talking. At least you can see the person. At least the person see the pick call. It is better than when they ghost you. Right? So if somebody they give you objection, it's good. At least we're still talking. If person they ghost you, that's where the real problem is. Because by the time the thing gets to ghosting level, you don't know how you can possibly rectify the situation. Sorry, one moment. The sleeper started again. Let me just wind up on this side. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. This is the beauty of creating content live. When you create content on the move, you always have to adapt to what's going on. So it's just one of these things. I bet more and no vex. So even though, there's production delays and noise coming in the background and everything, always trying to make sure that on this podcast we talk about real cogent, constructive issues. So even if production value is not high, at least you know that you're receiving good content over here. So just bear with me. So where was I? So I say, look, ghosting is normal. Don't be angry. Then if you're receiving, I say not ghosting, objections are normal. Don't be angry. Then if somebody is objecting to you, it is better than ghosting, because ghosting, the person is going quiet, they're not picking call, you suspect that they've blocked you. If you go to the office, receptionist will say Oga is not on seat, even though you can see from the window the Oga's Mercedes Benz is parked outside, but they say Oga is not on seat. By the time it gets to ghosting level, you cannot resuscitate this thing. So if objections is all you're receiving, it's good. At least we're still in the conversation. So so that's what an objection is. Any comma, any K-leg, any excuse, any reason why they don't want to buy or why they don't want to continue the conversation. Now, if somebody's trying to shrug you off, My own opinion. People have different ways of handling it, but my own opinion. By the time thing don't reach like shrug off level, just go. If they're trying to shrug you off, get the message, get the hint, go. Try and secure a referral. Do you know anybody else who might be interested in XYZ? If they do, get the phone number, leave them alone. If they don't, thank you very much for your time. Just in case you change your mind, here's my business card, here's my flyer, here's my website, here's my podcast, here's my this, here's my that. If they then shrug you off, then take the hint, leave. I'm going to look for somebody else who you should talk to. Now, all these objections that have to do with Oga, let me talk to my boss, let me talk to Madam, chairman is in Dubai, he's coming back, he's in Paris, he went for Paris Accord, on and on and on. All these kind of things. All these Oga objections, let me talk to my boss. It usually happens because we failed to ask some very simple questions in the beginning of the conversation. So when somebody says, let me talk to my boss, Oga is in Mecca, he has gone for small Hajj, all these things, it is because you didn't ask questions about the decision matrix. The decision matrix is a fancy term that people use in construction because in construction projects, the people who sell construction projects, they know that it's not just one person who is responsible for closing the deal. So anybody who is selling a construction project knows that they have to be talking to Oga CEO or MD. That's the person that will pay the money. They also need to know that they'll be talking to the people in procurement. They'll be talking to the people in finance. They'll be talking to the people in what else? They'll be talking to different stakeholders to close the deal. So in the construction industry, at least in America, there's this idea of the decision making matrix. You need to know from the beginning that, look, if we are going to sell this construction project, who and who and who are we supposed to talk to? So in the older podcast episode where I spoke about this senior brother, well, not my brother, but senior brother as per I used to be a lawyer. I can't remember the guy's name, but I think the construction outfit is Stablioni. I can't remember because it was a long time ago, back when I was in law school. So the guy was a senior advocate. It's rumored that he wanted to be in engineering, but his father said, on top my dead body, I'm a lawyer, you must be a lawyer. And the boy said, I must be a lawyer. He said, yes. I don't know this for sure. This was the gist that we used to hear back in the day. So the guy went ahead and he became a lawyer. But he never stopped the construction thing. He did the construction thing at the side. So the guy eventually became senior advocate of Nigeria. And he also would have a construction company that would go on to do MM2. That's Murtala Mohammed. Now the airport in Lagos, MM2. And then I think also the secretariat in Abuja, the modern secretariat in Abuja. So I think it's his own company that fronted, that did those ones. By the way, go and verify all these things because remember, I was small then. I was still, university into law school, So it's just gist. It's not ever verified. So anyway, somebody like Stablioni now, they know that if we're going to get this deal done, Murtala Mohammed, right, we should be in touch with the Lagos State Governor. But of course, not be just Lagos State Governor alone. We need to have somebody in the presidency that we should be chasing. Then we also need somebody in Lagos State Ministry of Works. Then we also need to have one or two connects in maybe like Federal Ministry of Works. Then we also, if we know one or two senators, go bad. Then if we know a few people in the State House of Rep, that will be good. Then who again? You understand? You see, to get that kind deal, good money, dollars, millions of dollars, decision-making matrix. Who are the players that are involved? We need to know them so that we won't get to one stage and the person says, oh, the president has traveled to Paris. If you get to that stage where they tell you that, oh, chairman has gone for Hajj, you're the one that made the mistake. You did not know that chairman is a significant part of the equation to begin with. You should have been asking those questions. You should be trying to figure out who and who and who is involved in saying yes to this thing. Or when it comes to implementing these things, who and who and who have a say, or who and who have any implications when it comes to implementing these things. You need to know the people involved so that you get them along for the conversation. So when somebody pulls this Oga thing on you, say, oh, madam went for pilgrimage. She's coming back in 2 months. Let me talk to my boss. Chairman, they come. He's not, see, all those things. You fail to ask the questions concerning how people make decisions. You need to know the decision matrix. You need to know how clients make decisions within their organization or within their family or within their whatever. You need to figure it out. Figure out who is going to say yes, who are the people required to hear yes, or who are the people who have a stake in how people implement this thing. If somebody says chairman is on Hajj, he's coming back next month, if that's the objection, the problem is you have been talking to the wrong person all along. Okay, maybe not the wrong person, but you should have included somebody else. And clearly, chairman is somebody that you should have been included in the conversation. Now, usually, when this kind of thing happens, chairman is, he had, madam has gone for pilgrimage, madam's daughter is getting married, blah, 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 blah. Typically, you're only talking to one person, and that is wrong. That is called single threading. If you're trying to get into any account, you have a complex sale, you're in a complex sales situation, you're only talking to one person, you're wrong. Single threading is wrong. You should be multi-threading or multi-threading, depending on how you want to pronounce it. You should be talking to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different people in the accounts, depending on the industry, depending on the context. So you can see how I said with Stablioni, for instance. By the way, I am guessing. My assumption is that before they closed that deal, they had connects in the presidency. They had connects in governor office. They have connects in House of Reps. They have connects in Senate. They have connects in Ministry of Works. They have connects in Lagos State Works. They have connects in connects in FAN, Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria. You guys have connects in Federal Aviation Authority. Maybe one or two people serve in the minister's office, Minister of Aviation. You understand? Those kind of deals don't just drop like that. So people in the construction space, they know that, look, if we're going to get this thing and we're going to be getting dollar, charging good money, we cannot be talking to only one person. That's a mistake that lots of you make. That's the reason why you'll be surprised that somebody will say, let me run it by my boss. So these are the reasons why it happens. So now, obviously, what can we do to prevent it? Very simple. Very simple. Start asking questions about how people make decisions so that you are not surprised by anything. Also, so that you will know who to involve in the discussions. Then once you know who to involve in discussions, you will now know how to teleguide the conversation. So if from the beginning you know that Oga is a key player that is involved, and maybe by now you have Oga, the PA's phone number, or Madam's phone number, and you know that Madam has gone on pilgrimage, there's a way that you can be orchestrating the meeting around when Oga should be back from Hajj, or Madam is back from pilgrimage, or Madam has returned from her son's graduation, in Washington, D.C. You will now know how you can be moving all these transactions around all these key people, key events. You get? But you have to be asking questions about how people make these decisions. Don't worry, I've listed out some sample questions that we can run through. Don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. So, please remember, I said that this applies for people who are in a complex sale. A complex sale is any situation where you're selling a product or your service, right? And then multiple decision makers are involved, or multiple stakeholders are involved. There are different people that are involved. I'm currently working with a client right now who is in the ad tech space. That's the advertising technology space. And it's one of the sessions that we had last week. I told them, look, for your product to be used and to be implemented, you cannot sell into the organization if you're only talking to one person. There are some people that we need to talk to. And then we sat down and then we teased it out. These are the people that I should be talking to if I am selling advertising technology to Nigerian businesses. These are the people that I should be talking to. Sorry, advertising digital technology. These are the people I should be talking to. Then, and I told them that, look, this is how you think about the problem. It's not just about the office per se, but it's about the category, the classes of people that you should be talking to. And also so that tomorrow, because you know how startup they be now. Today your startup is here and you're doing this thing. Tomorrow, una go pivot. So in the event that you people pivot in the future, this is how you think about it. You look at your product, you look at your service, and then you think about things from a management perspective. Who are the people that are involved in making the decisions, or who are the people that will be affected from a management perspective? So it's not just about the title. You're selling advertising software. You're coming into an organization. You now start thinking, who in senior management might be affected by this my software? Then you also think about technical users, the class of people. You now be thinking, okay, from a technical background, who is going to be responsible for implementing this software? When somebody implements the software, who is going to be responsible for generating the reports from this software so that the business can decide whether it was a good decision or a bad decision? Then there are also financial stakeholders. Financial stakeholders are people who control the purse. Who will be responsible for issuing the check, for making the transfer? Who do I know in finance? Who do I know in procurement? So that's the way to think about it. As you are approaching the organization and you're involved in the complex sale, that is the level that you think of it. This is not the complete way to think about it. I'm just saying that this is your starting base. Who in management is involved? On the technical end, the desk officer, who is involved? Then on the financial end, when it comes time to authorize the money, who is involved? So when you start thinking about it in those terms, you'll find that you find the right people in the mix so that at the end of the day, somebody will not say, oh, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. The head of procurement just got transferred. We're waiting for them to send a new MD for procurement. The board has not passed the resolution yet, so we have to wait until they hire a new chair of procurement. If you did not take this approach earlier, and if you did not know that financial controller, be chief accountant or head of procurement or whatever, if you did not know that they were a significant part of the equation, you wouldn't have known how to play this whole thing. If you knew that they were a significant part of the equation, and you knew that maybe their tenure is up in December, and we're currently in March, of course, you now know that this is the time to put fire on the throttle. Because if you're making progress now, this person's tenure is ending in December, you're not able to get this thing to close by December, you're on your own. A new chief of procurement will come, and then guess what? Back to square one. So, you're on a complex sale. You really need to know all of these things. Involve all of these people early. Don't be surprised by nothing. And then start planning the conversation based on all these things that you're knowing. Okay, who are the key players? Okay, are these the ones? Okay, what's their movement? What's their priorities? What's important to them? Then you now be planning your sales motions around those people. So now let's look at some sample questions. Now, one easy question that you can use without offending anybody, because to go and talk to somebody and then say, I want to talk to your guy, it's kind of like an insult. You'll be like, oh, really? I'm too small for you to talk to, Abby. You would want to talk to my Oga, Abby? No problem. Give me your file. When our guy is on seat, I'll let you know. We're used to these things in Nigeria. And of course, you know that by the time you get somebody on that kind of levels and the person has your file, your file will sit at the bottom of the pile from now until Jesus comes. Oga will not see your file. So, you can't just walk up to somebody and say, let me talk to your Oga. Relax. You need to use some maturity. So you just ask someone, oh, okay, apart from you, when it comes to implementing this and this and this, who else is normally involved in this kind of something? That kind of thing is not a direct affront. It's not you telling the person that, look, you're too small, I can't talk to you. Give me access to your Oga. You say, oh, apart from you, who else is involved in so and so? Person say, well, there's me, and normally in Madam Rabi's department, they do something. By the time you're asking people like that, and 2 or 3 people say in Madam Rabi's department, surely you know that you need to try and find a way to get Madam Rabi's phone number. Or one day when you're in the office, you just pass by and say, Madam Rabi, I just say, may I greet you? From asking these kind of questions, you've gotten an idea that Madam Rabi is significant in the equation. By all means, try and involve her in the conversation. It is better you do it now than you continue and somebody says, oh, Madam Rabi is not on seat. And then your matter will now hang. Let me talk to my boss, Madam Rabi. Then, another sample question. I started this as a wedding photographer because I noticed that normally for weddings, it's normally brides that is in the suite. Brides who, be carrying the matter on their head. So I just noticed that whenever I'm talking to a couple, and it's as if every time it's only the groom that is showing up. It's only the groom I'm talking to. I just realized that it's not pure. It's not pure at all. Because normally now the bride is supposed to vibrate, but this one is the groom that I'm seeing around. So I started asking boys now. If it's the groom, first meeting only the groom, second meeting only the groom, third meeting only the groom. After I was like, how far now? That guy, normally now bride is the where they carry this in for her pass, but this one that is only you that I'm seeing, like, what's going on? I bet she's not interested. I will ask. And there are times when the thing save me. You say, well, actually, I prefer you, but she prefers another photographer. Oh, at least now I know what the issue is. That the guy likes me, but the babe likes somebody else. That kind of thing, I won't be surprised when it's time to transfer and he says, you know what, let me talk to Kemi. I won't be surprised because at least from the beginning, I knew that, okay, Kunle, the guy likes me, Kemi likes somebody else. At least I'm not surprised. No heartbreak there. So that's when I started asking those kinds of questions. And you can ask questions like that. You're with somebody, you say, what do you think GM will think about this kind of thing? And the person says, oh, GM, no, they concern himself with this kind of matter at all. In fact, it's not even GM you should be worried about. It's the head of human resources. Now she the chook pass when it comes to this kind of thing. You ask the question, and now you know that, oh, okay, for this organization, there's no point in talking to CEO, even though CEO has the title. You now know that the person on ground, the person to talk to, is the head of human resources. And for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a while, you heard the episode I spoke about last week. You know how I'm trying to get on another TV station. And I was talking to GM. But by the time conversations were going, I just realized that, it's as if this head of program is also a strong person. So I talked to my guy. I said, how far now? Should I show? Let me come and see head of programming. The guy said, that one will help. Honestly, will help. And then, by the time I had the conversation, I realized that the head of programming, that the woman is in control of her domain. She is large and in charge. So some of you're talking to GM, and you think, oh, GM is in control of everything. Therefore, this is a closed deal. You won't realize that, okay, well, this one is not a matter of Oga because GM is on top. Head of programming is under. You won't know that downstairs, there's somebody who is in charge of the domain. And if she does not say pass, you cannot go. Okay, it's a different scenario, but anyway, still the same thing. Ask these questions so that you know who is important, who is making the decision, so that nobody will come and say, oh, okay, no problem, this is a brilliant proposal. You know what? Our head of programming is currently on annual leave. We need to wait for a head of programming to call back. Ask so that you won't be surprised. You won't be blindsided. So you ask, what does GM think about this? What of the chief technical officer? What does he think about this? Oh, the boys in technical department, do they have any criteria that we should meet, for this our solution? Oh, what about MD? The last company that I sold to, MD had a few things to say about this and this and this. What about your own company? Is it normally the same thing? Does MD normally chukan inside this matter? You ask. Oh, madam, I'm glad that we're making progress, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, man, no vex. But now in Nigeria we did. So for some families, the cultures are different. But like in your own situation, does your husband get involved in these sorts of things? You ask. Oh, sir, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad that you like the house and this and this and that and that. I'm glad that we're making progress. But sir, normally for most couples that I've closed the deal with, usually we see madam will okay one or two things about the house, like the children's room and the kitchen and stuff like that. So how far, sir? When are we seeing mommy? You ask. Right? So you ask. What does so and so think about this? This kind of person is normally involved. Are we going to be hearing from this person? Oh, I'm glad that we reached this stage. Typically at this stage, this is the stage where we now involve the lawyer. Would you like me to send these documents to your lawyer? Oh, okay, good. Can I have his contact details? You ask. Instead of you continue the discussion, then the person now says, oh, thank you very much. Let me send this into the lawyer. Then this is the first time you're hearing lawyer. You don't know the lawyer's name. you don't know the lawyer's contact details, how you can, I mean, it's too late. But if you have brought these things up earlier and you're ahead of Barrister Chukwuemeka, eventually you get Barrister Chukwuemeka, and then you orchestrate it so that accidentally you happen to be in the neighborhood in Barrister Chukwuemeka's office, and then you go and greet him, you know. So by the time it reaches that level of, oh, let me talk to my boss, let me talk to my superior, let me talk to my lawyer, let me talk to my accountant, that is not a problem. You've already made the connect. You'll be able to push it through. So, these are some sample questions. Normally, we would also be talking to KBAC. Normally, we'll be talking to Oga. Normally, at this stage, we'll be talking to supervisor or senator. Normally, at this stage, we'll be talking to line manager. Normally, at this stage, we'll be talking to blah, blah, blah. So before we take the next step, when do you think KBAC will be available for a meeting? When do you think line manager will be available for a meeting? When do you think Shugaba will be available for a meeting? When do you think Ovesin will be available for a meeting? When do you think Maazi will be available for a meeting? You ask. Right? You never know. And remember our first lady, our former first lady, Goodluck Jonathan's wife. Remember when she asked, now only you waka come? You can ask too now. Now only you waka come? You know? Based on how they respond, you now know whether, oh, okay, these are the decision makers or other people are supposed to be involved. Oh, by the way, I'm just kidding. Don't walk into an official meeting and say, now only you waka come. And besides, that time has passed. Goodluck Jonathan is no longer in office. So the joke is now dry. So, summary, we need to be asking questions to be able to tease out who else should be involved in this matter. When we figure out who the players are, we come up with a plan, and we're going to be multi-threaded. Now, let's say you didn't do all this background work and, it has already happened. You have hook. Okay. How are we going to deal with it in the moment? Because the question mark has now entered. The formula that I've been telling you guys in the last, let's say the last month, the formula still applies. We're going to agree and we're going to empathize. Then we're going to ask some questions. Then we're going to put a new proposal on the table where possible. And if that's not possible, we're going to secure an advancement. Right? An advancement just means, okay, there's no proposal on the table, but at least both of us jointly, we agree to what the next step is going to be. So agree with them. If somebody says, let me talk to my boss, you say, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. Even though you're surprised and you've been saying, counting 20 million in your head and you don't like this comma, but still keep your calm, keep your composure, keep it cool. You say, oh yes, this makes a lot of sense. Normally, we suppose involve Oga at this stage because, honestly speaking, in my own company, it's the kind of thing I would do at this stage. Now, when you say that kind of thing, you agree with them. They say, let me talk to my boss. And I say, yeah, it makes sense. We suppose involve Oga. The person will, they'll feel heard. They'll feel listened to. They will calm down. They will now know that, oh, no be fight. The conversation will continue. Because if somebody says, oh, let me run it by my boss, and you now say, I thought you're the one who's responsible for making decisions on this matter. Is a personal affront. The thing don't become adversarial. You're attacking somebody. Tension is up. Barriers are high. And in sales, we don't want any walls up. We want the walls down. We want to be able to talk to somebody. So long as we're talking, we're still in play. When we're not talking, you never know. So we agree. Let me talk to my boss. Oh, that makes perfect sense. At this stage, I would have involved my boss. In fact, I was even thinking, when are we going to involve chairman in this thing? Makes a lot of sense. Then from there, you slide into questions. So, bro, Novek, I beg, Oga is the one that's responsible for this and this and this, Abi. You ask the person. And then you hear. We're just trying to stay in conversation. The person will talk a bit. Okay. So, what kinds of things does Oga like to see in this kind of matters? You ask the person. Because the person has said he wants to talk to Oga. No problem. You've even recommended it. It is not a bad idea to figure out what it is that Oga likes and what Oga doesn't like, so that if you're able to secure a next meeting, you will be prepared to face Oga. Do some research. So, oh yeah, makes sense. You should talk to your boss. I was wondering how soon we're even going to involve your boss. All right, no problem. I'll take my leave. No vex. Hey, I forgot. So, your boss, what are the kinds of things they're responsible for? What does a guy like? What does a guy doesn't like? Oh, if a guy was here now, for instance, based on this proposal that is on ground, what do you think a guy would be most concerned about? The person will talk. The thing is, you're just trying to get some info. You're trying to get some emotional temperature. You're trying to get some extra data. You never know. You never know. Now, based on all the things that the person will tell you, you will now be able to put a new proposal on the table. That is the stage where you'll be able to say, you know what, this makes perfect sense. But, Mr. Chukudi, this proposal that I dropped for you, I don't think it's going to be adequate anymore. Can I amend this proposal and include XYZ and ABC so that when you give it to Oga, when you give it to management, they have all the information that they need to consider? You see, you're not trying to put a new proposal on the table, right? Or maybe the new proposal is okay, no problem. Based on the conversation you've had now, you now know that there might be some things that Oga is concerned about that are not captured in the document. The new proposal can now be okay, Bros Chukudi, you know what? Yeah, this makes sense. I'll leave this proposal here, but based on the things that we said, Oga might have one or two questions though. So, what do you think? Should I come back so and so date? At least let me be there so that when Oga has questions, I'm there to answer this thing live. Just to reduce the back and forth. That can be another proposal you're putting on the table. But if you're not able to put any proposal on the table, then you try and secure an advancement. An advancement just means you're trying to jointly agree on what the next step is going to be. So let's say you are able to successfully retrieve the proposal. Excuse me. Let's say you were able to retrieve the proposal that you dropped with Oga Chukudi the first time. Then an advancement can now be, oh, if I have this new proposal ready by August 7th, can I come with you to go and see Oga? Just in case of questions. Or would August 7th be okay? Or, anything, Sha, that we can narrow it down to a date or to a time or to a week or to a whatever, where we both agree that this is what the next step is going to be. If I have the next proposal, if I have the new proposal ready before the next board meeting, do you think we could get a response maybe by June 12th? We're just trying to get an advancement. We're trying to move these things forward. We're trying to get some timelines. We're trying to establish a reasonable basis for follow-up. How we're going to follow up with this thing. You get? But whenever you get an objection, spiritually, this is the process. Agree and empathize. After that, ask questions. If you can put a new proposal on the table, good. Put a new proposal on the table. If you can't, secure an advancement. That is the process for how we deal with objections. But the best thing to do is to be proactive and to prevent objections from happening in the first place. And this kind of objection, let me talk to my boss. Let me run it by my boss. My boss is not around. Madam has gone on Hajj. Madam's son got married. The best way to avoid this thing is we need to be asking questions about the decision-making structure within the company, within the family, within the whatever, so that we are not blindsided and we are not surprised by any of these things. That's the best thing to do. So, summary. You should never be in a sales situation and you are surprised by some new information. It is okay in the beginning. People will catch you off guard. That one is normal. That's how we the learn work. It's normal. You're fresh. You don't know all the things that are involved. You will miss one or two things. It's normal. But we are trying to reduce the number of circumstances where I am in a selling situation and I'm hearing something for the very first time. You're a sales professional. You're a business professional. You should not be caught off guard. Even if they catch you off guard, at least you should have been getting some hints, before then. Okay, this might be an issue, this might not be an issue. And then you go to plan for it. You get. So don't be surprised by any new information. And remember, you are the one who's supposed to be in the driver's seat. That means you're the one that should be telegraphing this thing. If all the time you are reacting, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign when there's other people that are setting the agenda for you. There's a limit to how fast you can move things along. Because after all, if Madam's son is getting married in Washington, D.C., Madam's son is getting married. It's not as if you can get her to change the wedding date. What I'm just saying is that if you knew that Madam is an important part of the equation and you kind of sense that she has some personal issues going on and that for the purposes of, for the period of June, July, August, she won't be around because she don't travel, there's a way that you can telegraph the process to suit you. Whether you can cover some ground before she travels in July, or whether you will shift some things till around, August, November, or whenever it is that she's going to come back. But you are the one as a sales professional, you are the one as a business professional who should be in the driving seat. If always you're feeling as if now them they drive, they're the ones driving the car, you're just a passenger, you are wrong. We got to be more proactive. In fact, if you don't learn any lesson today, this is the only lesson I want Nigerian business owners to learn, Nigerian salespeople. Too many of us are reactive. I'm here at your pleasure. I'm a houseboy. I'm your servant. Whatever you say, I will do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, you're a professional. Have a hand in this process. Drive this process forward. Take some control over your career. Take some control over your financial destiny. Anyway, let me bring it to a close because my meeting is for 11. It's now 10:38. So let me just cap it here. Let me go and prepare. Go and freshen up. I need to buy chewing gum somewhere, just in case my mouth is smell. You see, when you're going for a meeting, prepare, freshen up, look good, smell good. At least today I bath and wear perfume. All right. So thank you very much for your time and attention. If you'd love to connect with me, you can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. If you're having problems with your sales process, you're getting too many objections, you need some help, you want somebody to look over some things, call me 080-6466-2140. If you think I sound expensive, don't worry, I'm reasonably priced. But even at that, I'm going to answer one question for free. So reach out. Just think really hard and fast about what the question is going to be. And you might be surprised that even my free advice is very, 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 very useful. But if we need to sit down and start looking at your sales process, looking at your selling framework, need to figure out issues where you get stuck, figure out how we can prevent some of these things, figure out how we can unhook you, unstuck you, then we need to have a proper consulting session because I'm going to invest my time and I'm going to invest my mental resources and I should be compensated accordingly. But anyway, don't be afraid to reach out. So that's it. And that is all for today. Oh, and by the way, wish me luck on the interview, the meeting that I'm going to have. Well, actually, to be honest, it's not the meeting, it's the TV show. The TV show that I've been talking about, telling you guys. Today is the day. So I'm actually outside the studio. It's going to be on DSTV channel 365, and that is Global TV. It's also on Star Times, but I can't remember the channel that Star Times is on. So if you're just listening to this podcast now, the TV interview has already happened. But if you want to watch it, just go to YouTube. Just go to Global TV. Global TV NG or something like that. Search that. You'll find the YouTube channel. Then once you find the YouTube channel, you will see my interview segment there. Now, the name of the show to look out for is Wealth Creation. So it's Wealth Creation with Ambassador Tina Kenechukwu. That's the host. And then the topic we are talking about is personal branding as a financial asset. So that's what we're talking about. So that's it. So I'll catch you guys some other time. Let me run and let me freshen up and get ready for my TV debut. So I'll catch you guys some other time.